From her asteroid belt in deep space, Janet Kuypers.
No, the Kuiper belt isn't actually filled with little rocks. It's filled with icy things because I'm icy cold. I wouldn't know that.
Yes,
Kind
they're
of
called harbingers of doom.
harbingers of doom. Like they said that about, yeah, they bring the comets on, and Pluto, which was named after darkness, is actually a member of the Kuiper belt. Anyway, sorry. Hi, I'm Janet Kuypers. This is another one from the series, and it's called Let Me See You Stripped, because it has a stripped-down version of what I've gotten here. It's really hard to see, but there's a picture of me where I'm a blonde in the middle of a show that I did with Francois Leroux, the Ha-Man of South Africa. And I thought it was funny because I started this show with him, and he did music, and I was dressed with a wig and a hat and a full suit. And I did these things about traveling and being masculine. And at some point, I'm like, you've got to do this. And I just started taking off layer after layer of clothes until I had on this blue this silver tank top dress. That's all I was wearing. And I did the second half and acted more female, I guess. And it was just funny to see after all these years, to see the image. As I had mentioned before, I worked as an acquaintance rape workshop facilitator, which makes poems like this one interesting. This is called Raped with Words. I knew a woman who went on a date with a friend of mine, and after the date, he talked about how great she was. He told me about how they talked about their futures and what they both wanted. He described the inside of her place, but after that, he left messages with her repeatedly, but she never called him back again. I saw this woman weeks later at a Starbucks, and she said she felt bad for avoiding him, but she never wanted to see him again. Because during their date, they never talked about what they wanted. He just talked about what he wanted. And he talked about how she wouldn't have to have a job and that she'd be taking care of the house. And the man's the one that's supposed to be making the money. And he even told her how many of his children she would bear. She wouldn't let him into her house. Does that mean he was looking through her window? And she said that after the date, she showered for hours because she felt like she had just been raped. And you know, hearing her story made me realize that you can rape someone with words. That's just a poor woman. And you know, he seems like a nice guy, right? Anyway, he has changed since then. Remember, we're like, he's changed. This poem is called Trying to Change Fate. The way a weight on a stretched elastic cloth can move and disturb the fabric of the cloth, everything in existence can distort space in the universe. I've been wrapping my head around this, that gravity isn't the strong one, but gravity is a consequence of the distortion of space and time. The larger the distortion of space and time, the bigger effect you see in gravity. So as sci-fi media talks of warp travel, and all they're really talking about is producing enough energy to warp space-time so that you can instantly arrive at the other end of the universe. Because with all that energy, the other end of the universe comes to you. I've been wrapping my head around this, using dark energy to bend time and space, and I've been wondering what I would do if I knew when and where to get away from where I was, to get to where I need to be. Would I have learned my lesson and not come to you when you, the ex-gang member, strangled me? Would I have come to you in the middle of the night, called an ambulance before your heart attack, killing you so I could keep you alive? Would I instantly arrive that one fateful Saturday to go swimming instead of waiting in traffic and being almost killed while stopped on the road? Would I come to you, despite the hurricane, to hold you once before you let death consume you? Wait, I know us. I know I was your daughter, but I was never close enough to you to hold you. I should know better than to contemplate bending space-time, trying to change fate. Thank you very much. This one I think I did also in that show, that goth beach feature thing. But I think I did it as one of the last things in Chicago. It's one of the poems I did, and this is called Escaping Every Cage. I felt caged in that tiny Windsor hotel room. I wanted to get out. That's when he struck. I was attacked, knocked over, strangled. I managed to break free, scraped arms, bruised and bloody knees. Strangers offered to help me as I made my way through the lobby. I had to get so far away, I left the country and never went back. When I thought I couldn't take being trapped at work, when I was too caged in by those office walls, I quit my job and drove around the country in my car. Now, I know a car can be a cage, but with this little cage, I felt like I could be free. I could go where I wanted. I could do what I wanted to do. It was free. I was free for that split second of time until someone tried to kill me in my car, and they put me in another cage again. When I was in the hospital for weeks, I would tear that medical bracelet off of my wrist daily. Please, don't track me. And when I was able to walk, I would try to leave, but I didn't know where to go. And they would find me again and bring me back to my cell. When I was a child, I wanted to get away from my family, wanted to get away from my town. I wanted something bigger, faster, stronger than everything I'd ever known before. And so as I grew older, I took those childhood memories, those childhood toys, those childhood stories, and one by one started placing them on an island surrounded by deep water where no one could touch them and where they would always remain just on the horizon. I've always loved the water. Swam all my life. I swam in pools with friends when I was little. I swam along the side of tropical fish off the Oahu coast. I swam with dozens of white-tipped sharks off the Galapagos Islands. When I get closer to water, I just get itchy to just jump in. But even when I could let go in the water, I'd see that island in the distance, holding all of my childhood traumas, and still never felt entirely free. One day, I decided to face those ancient cages, so they wouldn't hold me down. I wanted to face it all, battle all of those past demons. So I went down to the shoreline, arced my hand along my eyebrow, looked for that island of mine. The water of the shoreline lapped over my feet, pushing the coastline further inland today. I kept searching until I realized my island fell into the water. Everything from my past disappeared, except my memories. That day, I couldn't go into the water. We all have our cages. Sometimes we can't see them, but they're there, holding us back, restraining us, holding us down, holding us in. And as I sit in my cage right now, I look at these walls, hear the cars driving past me, and think of the things that hold us down.
Yeah.